नमामि भगवत्पाद शंकरं लोकशंकरं। त्वमेव माता च पिता त्वमेव बन्धुश्च सखा त्वमेव विद्या द्रविणं त्वमेव सर्वं मम देव देव। श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तिसुदेशिकेन्द्रं द्वैपायनं सूत्रकृतं मुनीन्द्रं श्रीशंकरं भाष्यकृतं यतीन्द्रं मद्देशिकञ्चापि नमामि विद्यै। ओम नमो ब्रह्मादिभ्यो ब्रह्मविद्या संप्रदायकर्तृभ्यो वंशऋषिभ्यो महद्भ्यो नमो गुरुभ्यः। सर्वोपप्लवरहित प्रज्ञानगणः प्रत्यगर्तो ब्रह्मैवाहमस्मि। Pranams everyone. So we are starting from today, we are going to explore the introduction to Vedanta. Introduction to Vedanta. First of all, what is Vedanta? Veda plus Anta is Vedanta. So the Anta, Veda means we know the Vedas, the Shruti, or is commonly called as Shruti. And then the Anta means the end portion, the final portion. So we are going to explore what has been said at the last portion of the Vedas. What does that contain? What we will explore, we will see that in later classes. But this is what we are going to explore this over a series of classes. Now before that, I want to set some expectations and also give some introduction about how these classes will be structured and also what can you expect out of these classes. So before that, I hope everybody is able to hear me. Yeah. And can I suggest everybody to go on mute and also switch off the video so that you can save on the bandwidth. So first points, this is a class, so it is a kind of a series of lectures. It is not like it is going to be in a structured manner. It is going to be we will be discussing terms after terms. So if people would want to have a full value from these classes, would want to get full value from these classes, I would suggest them to start taking notes. So then it's the number one thing. Whatever I am discussing or teaching here is not my knowledge. All that I am sharing, it belongs to the gurus, it belongs to the parampara. I don't have any copyright on any of this knowledge. It is not my words. But of course, if I make any mistakes, it would be mine, of course. What this class is about, it is about spiritual education. It is not about, this class is not about, getting, by attending these classes, we will not get anything in the, in our corporate world or in our personal, in our materialistic world from, I wouldn't probably get more name, fame, money or all those things. So this education is not about that. This education is about spiritual education. Our schools unfortunately do not teach that today. Our earlier education system in the Gurukula concept had covered all these aspects. And what does this help? This knowledge or this understanding, this knowledge or understanding helps us to deal with life's difficult situations. Whenever we are going through some trouble, whenever we are going through some depression, whenever we are going through some pain, sorrow, loss of near and dear ones, when we go through this, how to handle that situation. Whenever we are going through a phase where nothing seems to be going right for us, how do we handle those situations? That is what is actually explained in these classes. Now if you may ask, if my life today is going on well, then why should I actually undergo these classes? Why should I even learn about this? when my things are going well, why should I know this? After all, this is only for emergency. It looks like it's only for emergency purpose. And we have a story to say. This is a story from my guru. There used to be a king, or there used to be a kingdom in which a king was actually selected from the people. So they would actually let the elephant go into the city. The elephant would identify a person, and that person would be made a king, and that person would be the king for the kingdom for 5 years. Just a minute, somebody seems to have shared the screen. Can I ask them to take off the share screen, please? Thank you. So this king would be made to rule for 5 years. But then what happens after the fifth year? The king would be banished into the nearby forest. So the king would be sent to the forest, and obviously the forest life would not be suitable for him. He will not have any cooked food or any of the attendance that he might normally get, and unfortunately he will actually fall prey to one of the animals there. So this used to be, but the 5 years he would have a very comfortable life, and after that he would actually suffer and die. Now, so everybody would, when they get into becoming a king, they initially love the attention and all the money and all the comfort that they get. But starting from second year, third year onwards, they will start having this feeling that they are going to go to the forest and they would be banished. There is no other way, and so they sort of half die even before they go to the forest. So this was happening for many years, and suddenly once a sort of a poor cobbler was made a king by the elephant. And when he actually got into the kingdom, he was enjoying his life in the first year. And the second year he was still enjoying. Third year, when normally all other kings earlier had actually started getting into a depression mode, he was still seemed to be fine. And then on the fourth and the fifth year, there seemed to be no difference. And on the fifth year, when the time came for him to be banished into the forest, he took it willingly, he went happily, and he went inside the forest. And the people who had to actually leave him in the forest asked, how is he able to live like that? And he said, well, in the last 5 years, what I did was I constructed a palace within the forest. I cleared some of the forest, constructed some buildings, got some people, got them to settle down there, and I have almost created another mini kingdom there with all the activities going on there. So now from this kingdom I am going to become the king of the other kingdom. So similarly, when things are going well for us, we should be prepared for those situations, because when those situations come, we will not be prepared, we will not have enough time to react. So this is about getting ourselves prepared or getting ourselves ready to face any situation, any difficult situation in life. And whilst I am teaching, although I am actually sort of sharing my knowledge, I am also in this journey. I am not a jnani, and I don't consider myself to be a guru. I am just sharing what I know. So there is no compulsion. Please don't feel compelled to call me guru or anything. You can call me by name. What I found was it has helped me in my life, this knowledge, and I believe it will help you too. And by way of taking these classes or by way of sharing this knowledge, it actually helps me in reinforcing my knowledge and my conviction on this. So that is the point that I wanted to make it clear. And whilst I am actually sharing these concepts, I will give some examples when explaining some of the concepts. The examples that I quote are not pointing towards anyone, but just general examples. And if it is true or relevant to you, then it is probably relevant for everyone. So don't take it personal. But having said that, whatever we learn from this is only for us. This knowledge is not for judging others. It is a knowledge for self. It is not to change the world. It is not to change even people around us. With this knowledge, we are not going to change even the people at home. It is only for us. And with this knowledge, I am not going to say that the world will not change, that the world will continue to remain as it is. People who have been giving trouble to us, have been helping for us, they are not going to change their attitude. They are going to remain as they are. But what this knowledge or this Vedanta will help us is our attitude and our approach towards the world will change. It should change and it will change. And for this change to happen, what should I do? First of all, we have to understand that this journey is never ending, so to speak. In the sense, it is not that this introduction to Vedanta class could probably get over in about 20-30 classes. But it doesn't stop there. This journey is continuous. It is continuous improvement. It does not end with this course. And it is not about remembering whatever concepts we bring in here. It is not about remembering these concepts only during the class. It's not like physics or chemistry class that we attend in schools. We remember the concepts, come back, write in the exam and then forget it. These concepts need to be applied outside the class. And when I say apply outside the class, it is in all walks of life. Some people might claim that this Vedantic knowledge or this Vedanta, Gita, all these things, Upanishads, it's all only for. It doesn't help in the material world. It doesn't help in the corporate world. It doesn't help in the in the normal life, as they call it, regular normal life, which is false. Which means they have not been able to apply it properly. It is applicable in all walks of life. It is applicable to all the roles that we are performing. They might say, okay, I can actually probably apply it in my personal life, but in the office, I need to be smart. I cannot be like this. This is a general tendency that people have, but that is false. That means they have not understood it properly. And some people might say Vedanta or this Gita is only for, first they will say it's only for sannyasis, which means it is not applicable for people who are having householder life, like a grihastha. That is not true, because Bhagavad Gita is also Vedantic knowledge, and Bhagavad Gita was given by Krishna to Arjuna. Krishna was also a samsari, as in grihastha. Arjuna was also a grihastha. So it is not, this knowledge is not for sannyasis, it is for grihasthas also. And some people might say that this is only for people who are in the retired life. It is not for people who are very busy with their current activities, especially youngsters, and when you have to make money and when you have to make your career and others. What they forget is actually when you don't get this knowledge now, this knowledge cannot be so easily got when you are retired. It is a knowledge. It is not just knowledge. It has to be a change in the personality, and personality does not change overnight. Cannot hear. Are you able to hear me? Hello?
Those who are using PCs, can you please use your headsets rather than trying to go and think, and request everyone to please go on a silent mode so we can all hear clearly. There is a lot of static, and I think Mr. Gunashekar has shared the screen. Can you please stop your sharing mode as well? Thank you.
Okay. And
those who are using phones, I think you will need to check your phone audio settings. Because most of us are
okay. So it is not for only it is not only for sannyasis, it is not only for retired people, it is for all walks of people, all ages. And this is about self-reflection, this is about self-evaluation, this is about self-improvement, and finally this is about self-discovery. And in this journey, this spiritual journey, nobody can help us other than ourselves. We could get some help from the Shastras and the Guru, but the effort has to come from individual only. And whilst in this journey, especially when we are in a group together, it is very easy to start comparing with one another. So I request not to compare. Each one will be at a different stage of spiritual progress, and the progress itself is not on a linear scale, so it is difficult to measure. The only one who can measure is ourselves, and for us only. We cannot use the same scale to measure others also. So try not to compare, or rather do not compare, and take your progress and work on your progress. What we are teaching here are Shastras. What is Shastra? We will see that later. Shastras is basically what has been conveyed to us by the Rishis. And the Shastras, the concepts could be, some of the concepts could be repetitive, can be said in different ways, with different words, different context, with different examples and different dimensions. So this is basically to ensure that we can get this knowledge without any doubt. So these are some of the basic guidelines or basic points that I wanted to bring about. With regards to the classes, if you have any doubts, feel free to put them in the chat box. We will collect those questions and try to answer them at the beginning of the next class. So any question, you can feel free. No question is bad, dumb. So you can put any question that you may have. You may, with regards to these classes or with regards to the concept or anything, you may actually put your questions or comments on the chat box, and we will collect it and we will try to answer them at the beginning of the next class. With regards to this course itself, there are 3 caveats that I want to bring. So there are 3 things that you should believe in for you to actually get full benefit of this class. 3 concepts. The first concept is you should have belief in Ishvara. There should be a belief in God. If you are still having some doubt about whether God exists or not, then this class is not for you. Although we will, during the course of this class, we will try to prove that Ishvara exists. But right now, to start with, you will have to have that belief. The second belief that you should have is belief in rebirth. The concept of rebirth. That I was born earlier as a different person, and here I am and I will get born again is a concept that everybody should believe. Again, we will try to prove through some logic. The third one is belief in karma. Karma, we would have heard, karma is what I sow, so I reap. What I do, I get back in return. This karma is also something that you would have to have belief in. Again, we will discuss about this as to why it might exist. So, these are the three caveats. And if with this we will start this introduction to Vedanta. Can you put yourself on mute, please? Thank you. So, this series, this text, Vedanta, Introduction to Vedanta, these classes is loosely based on a text called Tattva Bodha, which is a text, again a spiritual text. So, we are actually going through those concepts without going through these slokas per se, but we will be covering all the concepts and a little more than that. To start off, we see a lot of organisms around us, right? We see plants, animals, insects, reptiles, other humans, other people living in various countries, like people in Australia and America, and also people like Ghana, Sudan, and all those places. And then there are also different varieties of plants, insects, animals, all those things. Every one of us, every organism seems to be having a birth, then they grow, then they reproduce, and then they die. But human birth, our Shastras say, is very special. Human birth is very special. In Tamil we say, Aridu Aridu, Manidarai Pirappadu Aridu. In Sanskritam they say, Jantunam Narajanma Durlabham. Jantunam Narajanma Durlabham. It is not very easy to get a life of a human being. And what differentiates humans? Humans have intelligence. Ravi, can you try to use your headset to see if you can listen? Humans have intelligence. Humans have the capacity to know what is right and what is wrong. So that actually differentiates humans from other species. And what do actually humans look for? Normally, as human beings, we look for only happiness, we look for security, we look for peace of mind. Anything that we do seems to be only for this purpose. We think we want money because once we get money we will become happy or we will become secure. Why we use money to buy things? Why I buy this latest mobile or latest jewelry or anything? Because I think that jewelry or mobile phone will make me happy. And I want to be in peace, so I want to be with my loved ones. I want people who love me close to me. I want people whom I don't like away from me. So we seem to be only going this one. We are looking for only happiness, security and peace. But what we see from our own experience is life gives us a lot of times some insecurity. In spite of having so much of money, we still don't seem to be secure enough. And life gives us sorrow. Life gives us pain. So it gives us pleasure, but it also gives me pain. So it gives me joy and sorrow. It seems to be coming only in pairs. I get hot, I get cold also. The problem is, when I am in joy, I don't remember the sorrow. I seem to be quickly forgetting my sorrow. Time is the best healer, they say. And once I get into some joy, I indulge in some joy, I actually forget the sorrow. Now, is this why should we be living like this? Is this how we are supposed to live? Is this what we are supposed to do? To experience both pain and pleasure, to experience joy and sorrow, to have this come again and again in phases, not sure as to what is going to hit me. Is this how I should be leading my life, is the question. So this introduction to Vedanta will try to explain what this life is about, starting from what is the purpose of life, what is the purpose of human birth, what does Shastras mean, what is Shastras, what are the Shastras we refer to, how do we structure our life, how do we need to live our life, and at the end to understand finally who am I, who is Ishvara, what is the relationship between me and Ishvara, and all those things. So this is how we will be structuring our class. And whilst doing this, I will be introducing some technical and Samskrita words. Please try to note it down and remember, because this is the same term that would be used in any scriptural study that you do afterwards. Whether be it Upanishads, Bhagavad Gita, or any other scripture, the same words would be used, repeated. And the concepts would also be the same. So we would be introducing a lot of technical concepts and terms over every class. There is a shloka in Sanskritam, a Subhashitam or a shloka in Sanskritam, which says, Ahara nidra bhayamaitu nancha samanya metat pashubir naranam buddhi tesham adhiko viseshaha buddhya vihina pashubis samanaha. Ahara nidra bhayamaitu nancha. There are 4 things that are common between humans and animals, and only one thing that differentiates between humans and animals. And what are the similarities between humans and animals? Ahara, nidra, bhaya, maitunam. Ahara means eating. Nidra is sleeping. So eating, sleeping. Bhayam, fear. Fear is one thing that is similar, common between animals and humans. And then maitunam, that love to perpetuate one's species. These 4 things are common between humans and animals. But what is the one that differentiates humans from animals is buddhihi. Buddhihi. Buddhihi tesham adhiko viseshaha. The intellect alone is one thing that differentiates humans from animals. The ability to think, the ability to study, the ability to analyze, the ability to set goals, the ability to work towards goals. Those are things that are very specific to humans. Animals are not capable of doing that. They cannot analyze things. They do not have any different goals. They almost come pre-programmed. Whereas we try to create new programs. So this is the one thing that differentiates ones. And if if humans do not, if the person does not use his intellect, then what he becomes? He becomes an animal. Buddhya vihina pashubis samanah. Without intellect, a human is as good as an animal. And what is this intellect, this buddhi, this vivekam? As we say, what is that? Buddhi, vivekam is basically, buddhi is the ability to discriminate. Our intellect should be able to discriminate what is right, what is wrong, what is good, what is bad. Only with the help of buddhi, what do I like, what I don't like is also there. So the intellect is able to set goals for a person. Goals in Sanskrita is called as lakshya. In Tamil we say kuri. So the buddhi is able to set lakshya, plan, and then it comes up with a plan. In Tamil we say neri, kuri and neri, lakshya and sadhana. And once we set goals, we actually take actions accordingly. And whatever we attain as goals in this life, it is called as Purushartha. Purushartha in Sanskritam. Purushartha. Purusha means, generally, Purusha, Stri, we generally say. That is man, woman. But Purusha is also referred to humans in general. So when we say Purusha, it's human here. Artha means goal. Purushartha means human goals. Purushartha also means free will. Purushartha also means free will. In other words, somewhere Purushartha is also called as choice. We use Purushartha for choice also. Purushartha is also used when we have to say sense of effort, a prayatna, we say prayatna. In some Tamil also we will say prayatna. That effort, that endeavor is also another meaning for Purushartha. But here, right now, you can say Purushartha is human goals. So, Purushartha, how many Purusharthas do we have? How many human goals? So, each person have his own goal, right? Each person will have his own goal. One person might think that I want to get that job is my goal. One person will think, if he's a student, he will say, getting into that university is my goal. If a person is in the age to get married, they will say, getting married is my next goal. Or getting my son's education into a university is my next goal. Or getting my daughter married is my goal. So we always seems to have goals. So the goal seems to be many. Each person seems to have many goals. And it keeps changing over time. So when I am studying, my goal seems to be like I want to get a good marks. That seems to be the goal. Once I get good marks, I seems to be getting a good job seems to be my goal. Once I get into a job, getting promotion seems to be my goal. Once I get promotion, getting married seems to be my goal. Once I get married, getting a house seems to be a new goal. So the goals keep changing. First of all, goals are different for different people, and it keeps changing over time for different people. But what Shastra says is, all these goals, whatever one attains or even seek to attain, they can be classified into one of the four. So you can classify all your goals into one of these four. And in when we do our Sankalpam, we say Chaturvida Pala Purushartha. 4 types. Chaturvida. What are these? Artha, Kama, Dharma, Moksha. In Tamil we say Aram Porul Inbam Veedu, or Porul Inbam Aram Veedu. Artha, Kama, Dharma, Moksha. Artha, what is Artha means? Porul, or in Tamil, Porul. Artha means wealth, or basically that is the general term for Artha. We already saw Purusha Artha, there it meant goals. Artha has another meaning called wealth. Kama is pleasure, sensory pleasure. Dharma means punya in this case. Punya. And moksha means liberation. What is moksha? We will see it, but moksha means liberation. So what Shastra says is, if anybody is pursuing any goal in this life, it can be classified into one of these four. It could be either for artha, which means it could be either for name, fame, power, position, money, wealth. So my goal could be one of these things. If it falls into any of these categories, if it falls under any of these categories, name, fame, power, money, position, it is called as artha. If it is for seeking enjoyment, so I want to go to a restaurant to have good food, I want to go and watch a new movie, I want to actually go travel around the world, then it is called as, if anything that I am actually enjoying through my 5 sense organs, either through eyes, tongue, my skin, nose, ears, I want to listen to good music, it is all comes under Kama. What is Dharma? Dharma is Punya. So if anything that I want to do, seek Punyas, that all comes under Dharma. What happens is, once a person gets some amount of satisfaction from artha, and some amount of he goes into Kama, and once he gets some amount of satisfaction from Kama, he goes to Dharma, where he tries to do Punya, because he will start doing Punya, because he knows that I have to do Punya, because he believes in karma. I have to do Punya, some good deeds, so that I get things back in return as artha and kama. So he donates money because he thinks that he will get this money back, which is true. If you donate money, you will get money back. Or he does some good things to others because he knows that when he is in need, he will get those things done by others. But this dharma, when he does that with the intention of getting artha or kama back in future. But what we should understand is, this artha or kama that we get we might get this in this life, or we might get in future births also. We need not get everything in this life itself. So an intelligent person then starts thinking, what happened to my next life? Might as well collect some more punya. In Tamil we say, pora valiki punyam thedradhu, which means to the next life, I have to go to the next life, let me collect some good deeds. Let me do some good deeds and collect some punya. And this punya contributes to my next birth also. The whatever punya or papa contributes to my next birth also. Especially this punya contributes to my childhood. See, a person from the time of birth until he becomes a kind of an adult, he does not indulge in any kind of punya. He is not able to help anybody. He is not able to do anything. He cannot donate. He hasn't earned anything. He is not in a position to help anyone. But he seems to be getting all the support needed. Where does this come from? This comes from the punya that the person has done from the previous life. So, any punya that we do need not come all in this life itself. It could be stored and would be used for our next life. So, this childhood that a person has is determined by the punya that the person had brought for this life. And my childhood will determine my physical health, my emotional health, even my intellectual health. And therefore, my adult life is determined by my childhood. So if I want to control my adult life in my next janma, then I will have to ensure that my childhood is good. And if I want my childhood to be good, I will have to do punya now. So that this punya can actually contribute to my childhood, which in turn will contribute to my adulthood in my next life. So that is called as dharma punyartha. Dharma means here punya. Again, dharma has got many meanings. In Tamil we say, if you see a beggar on the streets, he might say, Swami dharmam pannunga. Dharmam there means charity. Dharma means there dhanam. Dhanam is a kind of dharma. Dharma is not exactly equal to dhanam. We have to understand that. Dharma has got many meanings. The main meaning is duty. In this context, dharma means punya. So please note it down. So dharma here means, when we say purusharthas, dharma means punya. Now, the fourth purushartha, moksha. Moksha means liberation, I said. Liberation from what? Liberation from samsara. Samsara means what? And samsara, this term, as I said, every class we will be introducing terms. Samsara is a very important term for Vedantic students. We will be often referring to this term. And therefore, the term samsara has to be properly understood. Samsara actually means manasa tapaha. Manasa tapaha. Tapaha means heat. When the mind heats up, when our mind creates problem for us, that is called as samsara. And when does our mind heats up? Our mind heats up when we have kama, desire, when we have krodha, anger, when we have shoka, when we have dukkha, when we have dvesha, when we have lobha. Can you put yourself on mute? Thank you. Lobha, madha, matsarya, jealousy, pride, ego, anger. That is all when we have manasa tapaha. And that is called as samsara. And what is moksha? Moksha is liberation. And liberation from these gunas. Is freedom from these gunas is called as moksha. Moksha is not about getting freedom from others. Moksha is not getting free from our family life. It is not the answer. That is not what moksha means. So some people are afraid of the term moksha. They feel that if you say moksha, then it is actually coming out of the family life, leading a different life, taking away my family, giving away all family responsibilities and others. No, that is not the meaning of moksha. Moksha means liberating ourselves from samsara. So whilst we are in this journey, when we are learning these things, how to actually, all these things when we are learning, one other caveat that I wanted to let know is, this Shastra is not going to teach us how to get good name from others. So by actually attending all these classes, if I actually probably even alter my lifestyle based on these classes, it is not going to guarantee that I am going to get a good name from others, or it is not going to guarantee that people are going to not find fault in me. It is not that nobody is not going to talk ill of me. That might continue to be there. So if we think that by actually coming to this class we would be actually being seen as a good person outside, or seem to get all the good name from everyone, then it is not the case. Just to understand that there might be some changes from people who are with us, but that will be marginal. That may or may not happen. The important thing is for us to change ourselves, because Shastra is not going to change others. Shastra is not about changing others. Shastra is going to teach how I am able to take whatever others speak to me. It is about changing my attitude when others speak about me or speak to me. What Shastra is going to teach is the dukkham, the sorrow is not outside. Shastra is going to say this dukkham, the sorrow is a reflection of my samsara, my kama, krodha, lobha, moha, mada, matsarya. And liberation from these is called as moksha. So just to recap, we started with how important human life is, because to get a human life is very, very rare. How rare it is, I will tell you in the next class. But it is very rare. And what differentiates humans from other species? Intellect. What is this intellect for? The intellect is for actually making our life better. And how do we make life better? By changing our attitude, our personality. Will this help me in getting good name from others? Will this help me in getting more money? Will this help me in getting promotion? No, that is not the idea. But you will get some ancillary benefits. But the main benefit is not that. The main benefit is your own happiness. And how did Shastra start? Shastra started with this topic of Purusharthas. So it said like humans generally pursue a lot of things. And all things can be classified into one of these four, which is Artha, Kama, Dharma, Moksha. In Shastras, in the next class, we will sort of go into each of these and say, especially about Artha, Kama and Dharma, we will see what is the limitation of those pursuits, or what are the faults in those pursuits, what are the doshas in those pursuits. We will see that in the next class. So I'll close this class now. Before that, I would probably request all of you to do a few things. One is, please come to the class on time, so that the messages don't pop up once the class has started. It will distract others. Second thing, please keep your video off and your audio mute. Should you have any questions or issues, feel free to use the chat window and put your messages there. We will try to answer that. Any questions, comments, feedback, if you want to give, you can give it in the chat window. We will try to consolidate that, and I will try to answer them in the beginning of the next class. I hope I am clear and I am audible. With this, we will actually do a closing shloka and come to the end of this first session. We will again meet in the next class next week. If you have any questions, you can always drop in the chat window. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Swasti Prajabhya Paripalayantam Nyayena Margena Mahim Mahishaha. Gobrahmanebhyo Shubhamastu Nityam Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu. Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namah.
Thank you.